And yes, feel free to drink the water. This water is actually safe.
I brought my own.
You brought your own water? Okay, awesome. You heard our previous podcast about the whole situation with spoiled water and milk. So
Right.
she was like, no way, I'm bringing my own water to this bad boy.
Better safe than sorry.
I brought my coffee.
You brought coffee? All right. Well, I'm actually going to drink this water because it's actually okay. Hi, and welcome to The Current, the official podcast of Riverfront Federal Credit Union, where we'll share our insights and experience to help you achieve your financial goals. So sit back, relax, and get ready to dive into the current. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode number 6. My name is Joel. I'm the communication director here at Riverfront, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tony, our creative director. Hey, Tony.
Hey, Joel.
How's it going?
Good, you?
Good. Also with us is Tim McLeod, President and CEO of Riverfront. How you doing, Tim?
Doing good, Joel. How are you?
All right, man. Hey, today we have some really cool guests. Ed and Melissa Sweeney from Proper Noise. Proper Noise is a vintage car shop here in Berks County, located in Mount Penn, that specializes in pre- and post-war European sports and touring cars, from the early days of motoring to the fast and powerful machines of the 1960s. Thank you for showing up, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Awesome. Tim, before we get started, did you have anything to say?
You know I always do. Joel, come on.
I guess I got to come up with another question, huh?
I know, right?
Be like, hey, Tim.
Don't ask, what's rule number 2?
Don't
Ask a question you don't want the answer to.
True that.
Right. So get, 6 through 10 or somewhere in that, there's nothing to do with questions. So no, really, we was just talking before we went live about Proper Noise and what Ed and Melissa are doing over there, and the fact that I didn't realize they were there up until a year ago now that we did discover, and we was kind of talking about the discovery of Proper Noise and how it all came about. We'll save that maybe for later in the conversation. But anyway, what we look to do in everything we do here at Riverfront is to provide a benefit for our members, our member owners, Berks County consumers. And we, all of us, Tony, Joel, and myself, are car guys. We all, appreciate a good hot rod.
I'm a car-ish guy.
Joel,
I love my car. I drive my car. It's awesome, but don't ask me to change the oil. I take it to a garage.
That's quite all right. There are a lot of people like that. I know a guy that actually owns probably, he did at least, 40-ish Corvettes.
Wow.
And he probably cannot tell you where the oil dipstick is on any of them. And he doesn't want to know because he likes to drive Corvettes, he likes to collect Corvettes, and that's it.
Yeah.
But anyway, everybody's got some tie back to a vehicle. Well, we all do. We drive one every day, or most of us do. But then there's a lot of us that has a deeper understanding and a deeper desire to understand what we refer to as the classics. And I'll tell you that, and I'm not going to take Ed and Melissa's thunder here because I do not know a lot about the European cars, especially pre and immediately post World War II. And I'm just enthralled in it now with seeing the quality of workmanship and things of that nature in these vehicles from a way bygone era. And so I'm excited to have them here today to give us kind of a journey through that collection, that process, the vehicles themselves. And hopefully, and what I was leading to was that our listeners that do, or maybe not, but will now have a greater appreciation for the classic and vintage type automobiles can take away from this the same level of excitement that we three have in doing this. And of course, you see our advertisements about the cars and coffee. Sundays, I think we've had 3, 4 this year.
3 or 4 that counted.
Yeah.
And at least 3 or 4. Yeah.
And they've all been in conjunction with Proper Noise, and we've had just a tremendous turnout at every one of them.
Yeah,
and,
it's been awesome.
So anyway, I'm just rambling at this point. So
Yeah, well-
that's all I got, Joel.
So, Ed, Melissa, how did you guys find out about Riverfront, or how did you kind of like stumble into this place?
Yeah, I was just going for a walk in the neighborhood, and I saw the parking lot, went to the cafe to get a cup of coffee, and it was a beautiful Sunday morning, and I thought it would be a great spot to have cars. And
awesome.
and-
Yeah, we're actually, the branch is actually closed, so you didn't even actually get to see Riverfront itself. You were just kind of like, hey.
Yeah, you have a really nice parking lot. So we, it's something that we had wanted to start, and once we talked to a few customers, would you like to do that? They were into it.
Yeah.
So it just has grown from there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to say, hey, you want to get together?
No.
Yeah, because I've actually been driving down the street with my sons, and if we see a bunch of specific cars, it's like, all right, well, we look at our watches to see if we have time, and we'll just swoop around. Don't even know these guys.
Yep.
And that's how a lot of these things just spring up.
Yeah, our customers are always looking for something to do on the weekend, and meeting up with you guys starting in the spring, it gave us the whole season to kind of build it, and we have a lot of enthusiastic owners, I would say.
Yeah, we've met a
clients,
few of them.
Yeah,
They're really cool people.
yeah, they really like doing car stuff on the weekends, and we found that in Berks County there was really not a great event that we had found for our type of cars.
Mhm.
So we were, that was kind of what led up to us wanting to do that.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, a lot of people don't know about us if they're not a current customer, and we've kind of let the business build organically, and there is a lot of car enthusiasm in the area, and as a result, the people that we do interact with are highly engaged. So if we say we're going to do an event, we get a nice turnout, and so we had a good feeling about it. And what's been nice with the collaboration with you guys is we're getting other cars as well. This is a Cars and Coffee that's open to anybody.
Yes.
And at this point, I would say it's actually only maybe 25% of the existing Proper Noise crew, and it's grown quickly.
Seeing, I think it was even the first one that we were all together at, my heart was smiling seeing the vintage cars that your guys were bringing, guys and ladies were bringing in, as well as my sons that were bringing his tuner friends in.
Yeah.
The old guys bringing their Mustangs and Chevys, and it's like, and there was not a single person that didn't have a smile on their face, and it was so cool seeing it. It's truly a generational thing.
Absolutely.
Like
Right.
17-year-old kids and 70-plus-year-old people, and everybody had a smile on. And you cannot, for that to spring up organically, like, I don't think there's that many more happier things that I can think of. Like, it was really cool. It was really cool.
Oh, yeah. Before we hooked up with you guys, we had at least 2 or 3 other Cars and Coffee where we had for what we thought at the time was a good attendance. We had like 20 or 30 cars, but the moment we hooked up with you guys, it jumped exponentially.
Yeah. Right.
It was like 90 to 100 cars in our parking lot, and we were like, "This is amazing."
Yeah, it
This
was
is
awesome.
truly
Awesome.
amazing.
When you can have low riders,
Yeah.
and like late 90s tuners, along with your pre-war stuff, and 60s, like, that's neat.
Yeah,
That's
seeing
cool.
them all parked next to each other,
Yes,
and
yes,
like you
yes.
said, the different generations. Maybe some of the younger guys and girls hadn't ever seen a car like
Yes.
what we work on, and so that's always really cool to see.
Yeah, it was
I've been around cars since I was long as I can remember. I've seen cars here that I've never seen, not even in magazines, and that's awesome.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, when you not only can see it, but you can touch it with the owner's permission, of course. you can stand right next to it, and you just feel that that era.
That's why we
awesome.
love it.
Yeah.
It's always different. The type of cars we work on, we don't have an exact specialty. We like to work on pretty much anything that fits within the year range we work on. That we do have a restriction there. We don't go past 1980, but everything prior to that. And even though European cars is a specialty, we also have American cars that we maintain and service, but we're selective because we are a small shop. So 7 people total, and we, including the 2 of us. And so we're able to be very selective, but there's a good relationship with every customer because it's small and we'll work on interesting projects. It's nice to have that freedom to kind of pick and choose who and what we want to work with. So it's great.
Give us your California connection. That's cool. I know people want to hear about this.
So we've been open for 7 years, and it's been a build. We started small at a shop in Shillington, about 1,200 square feet. Now we have 9,000. And our most recent project that we completed for Pebble Beach, it was in the preservation class, pre-war preservation, and we got second in class. So it was our first time out there.
Oh, wow.
And it was...
congratulations. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Congrats. That is very cool.
It was a big project that the owner wanted to keep secret, so it made it like extra difficult because the car had been in storage for 65 years.
Wow.
So he didn't want it to be seen in public eyes until it got to California. So it was downstairs in our lower shop, and we were just working away on it. And, so we were really pleased.
So 65 years stored away in a garage.
Yeah.
Now, was it even able to start at that point when you got it?
No.
Like it wouldn't turn over?
No, it was pretty rough.
It was pretty.
Yeah.
And so you got it to be able to be drivable.
Yeah, it completed the tour. He did 70 miles up from
Really?
Monterey to Big Sur and back. So it was.
Oh, so it wasn't just showing the car, hey, show up. It was like the car had to actually drive around.
Yeah, which was that was not the original. Not the original plan. When the car first came to us, it wasn't even going to Pebble Beach, but then it got accepted, and so
oh wow,
all hands on deck.
Oh wow,
yeah,
wow,
that's crazy. Nice. So you specifically just worked on the engine and the exhaust. Like, did you do any of the body work, or did it even need body work at that point?
So this is in classic and vintage cars. There's a new. It's not new movement, but it's gaining momentum. Is the idea of preservation. So you wouldn't strip and repaint the Mona Lisa. Which might sound like a severe comparison.
No, I get you. I get you.
So now this car has original paint, and our job was to make it run and drive without affecting any of the original finishes, which is
that's awesome.
In some ways harder. So
I bet.
I could imagine.
Yeah. And the car was
be really careful.
The car was stored in Bakersfield, California, in a garage with a poor roof, so the whole interior was destroyed. And that was actually the main thing that we restored. And so it was very challenging. And we actually didn't have any expectation of winning out there because a preservation car that has a new interior is usually looked down upon, but the rest of the car really held up. And they liked it.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that.
So when you find a barn find or something, are you supposed to not worry about cleaning the cobwebs often? Because I've seen auctions where they pull them on the block and there's dirt on it from the provenance that it's this is how we found it, this is how it's going. Is that a thing?
It's certainly a thing in selling them. They're selling the sizzle, not the steak.
Okay, gotcha.
There's a lot of that going on. We could have a whole podcast about the auction scene. We actually don't buy and sell cars at all, but we advise people that do.
Okay.
So we've been to some of the higher end auctions, Bonham's, RM, places like that. And, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes to, add allure to an auction and get the car. So if it's being sold as a preserved barn find.
So is that a service you offer? Like if I want this vintage car, but I don't know anything about it, could I hire you guys to come check it out and say, hey, if it's worth it or not?
Yeah, we do pre-purchase inspections and we'll advise on condition and quality.
Okay.
Not so much value. That's more of something that, we can explain why one car is better than another.
Yeah.
We try to stay in our lane with that because we don't buy and sell them. So
Okay.
it's more of a condition and quality assessment than overall value.
Some of our customers also really want like a full research kind of presentation as well. Like a lot of the history, the background. Was it previously raced? Did it win any races? Did it win any Concours? Who owned it? Where was it? And so that's sometimes a big part of it too, is just doing a lot of research on the back end to make sure they have a full picture, especially if it's a collector, where we know, maybe this isn't going to be with them forever. They're buying it as an investment, or we almost look at it sometimes like a piece of art,
Yeah.
It is if you're thinking about just the fact that old Chrysler LeBaron was owned by Jay Leno at some point.
Right.
That same car with less miles, nicer looking, has far less intrinsic value, I guess, because of that, right? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. For some people, I think some people don't really care. They see a car, they love it, and they have to have it. But I think it's one of the more interesting parts of that service that we offer, is just being able to really dive into like the history, and that's all Ed.
So telling the story of the car is basically what you're doing.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's a
awesome.
selling point for a lot of people.
So I fall into the the latter category. I could care less who owns it. I'm not real into the popular. I like Jay Leno. I appreciate what he's done for the car industry, or the collectible car industry, because it's far and wide. But if I have to be careful what I'm going to say, because my lovely bride listens to these, and I can get myself in a lot of trouble. And she appreciates cars as well. It's one of the things that we want to do, and really up until this point, it's been, let's get a, 66 Chevelle Malibu body, if you see one, that we can work on together. Essentially, I say together, that may be loosely said. That we can
enjoy it together,
build it up. Because I like
you're digging that hole
cars.
pretty deep over there.
I know it, right? But I enjoy working on the tinkering and building and reconstituting the car, and then appreciate it, enjoy it together, like you said, Melissa, and then put it in the garage. Not a garage queen, but put it in the garage, keep it in the garage, and love on it. Like we do the Vet now, the '78 Corvette. But now that I've been introduced to your type of cars, now I'm thinking maybe we find something older that possibly is already done or almost done, that needs a little more TLC.
Well, it is funny because our business is we didn't really get into what we specialize in, but our shop is really known for making cars that work. So even though the shows and things like that, collectors, it is part of our business, but most of our work is about building cars that can be driven and enjoyed.
Right.
And that's the large majority of our cars. And, we often tell people we do full restorations, and we've done many, but going out and buying a car to get in and enjoy is usually a more financially wise decision. Just
right.
If it means saving up and doing, because I think sometimes that has something to do with it as well. If you're going to restore a car, you can space it out, and pay for it along the way, rather than going, and it seems like, oh man, I got to just plop some big amount down to buy a whole car. But in the long run, it will cost you less, and you're just enjoying it. So we advise people that way.
So the journey of putting the car together is the enjoyable part.
For some people,
at the end, when you're
people, that is what they like. They don't even really want to use it. Those are the process guys. They like to see it coming together. And
I'm both of those people.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
I want to have a car to tinker on and work on and build up over time, like you said. But now looking at some of those vehicles, just to go buy one, that really the only thing that you need to do at that point is keep it clean and keep it
maintain it.
Keep it maintained.
Don't worry, it'll have needs.
Right? I know. Like I said, I've been around cars my whole life, and again, that's the other part of it too. There's the taking care of the maintenance is hobbyistic in itself.
Mm-hmm.
I can go change the oil in my Silverado, Chevrolet pickup truck out here. It's a 2019 model. That's a task. But if I'm doing it in an old car, it's a love affair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it is. That's why I say I probably get my wife's going. He's getting ready to spend a bunch of money.
So your personal cars, do you own vintage cars, or do you just work on them, or?
We have one vintage car.
Okay.
I mean, I guess technically two. I have a 1990 Mercedes that to me isn't very old at all, but I know.
Yeah,
That's the wagon.
The wagon.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but we have a 1958 MG. It's called a Magnet is the model. It's a pretty oddball MG.
Okay.
It's a 4-door sedan.
Oh, is that the one with I believe you had a canoe on it or
Yeah.
something you brought over here?
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty amazing car.
Yeah. The canoe, my dad made that in college. So
Oh, that's awesome.
the canoe is now on the car, and he helped me build the dash in that car. And he actually works at our shop now.
Oh,
Yeah. So my father, he was from the machine shop industry. He worked his way up, was a manager of a place here in Reading. And then when he retired, he joined our shop as our full-time machinist.
oh,
So,
that's awesome.
yeah.
a semi-retirement.
Yeah, he was.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody ever truly retires. They're always either they're working harder some way. I think my dad, he went from working really hard in the airport to now working really hard at my sister's house. So it's like,
Yeah.
you don't really retire.
It's good to stay busy.
No, yeah, definitely.
is.
So expand upon your services as far as what you offer. I mean, you mentioned a little earlier that we didn't talk about most of the services, but kind of go into detail. Like, what is it you actually do for the vehicles, or?
So our shop is a little different from other restoration shops in the sense that we specialize in vintage cars, but we don't do paint and body work. And it's the focus of a lot of places that do restorations. And they farm out engines, and they farm out transmissions and other maybe gauges, things like that.
Okay.
And besides a full gauge restoration, we will even take apart a gauge and service it to keep it working again. So we dig in. We can make parts because we have a machine shop,
Okay.
and we're known for that aspect of the classic car hobby, keeping cars running and performing as well as they can. Because that's the part that I've always enjoyed is the actual use of the car, even though concours events, judging at them, showing at them has become a big part of our business, and we enjoy it. That is really our focus. And if we're going to do a full restoration, we just farm out the paint and do everything else. So
you're doing the hard part, is what you're saying.
It's all hard.
yeah, no, I have a lot of respect for painters because I'm not a great painter. So we're doing the part that to us is easier.
Okay.
Other people, they're really happy we take that on. We work also with some other restoration shops directly. We do chassis building and things like that for them. So it's been nice to make those partnerships.
So I guess my 2017 Acura MDX, I can't bring it to your shop is because if I wanted like the interior like redone in an old style or something like that, or anything like that, is that something that you guys can do?
No, we have a 1980 cutoff. That's been our hard line, and it's kind of the pre-fuel injection era
Okay.
and that's not everybody made the change then, but that's about when the shift was happening. So we say like 1980 or earlier, and the MGB is a model that we're known for working on, and that ended in 1980. So that kind of became that was like the watermark. So we just stay there and backwards, all the way back. We have a 1904 Cadillac at the shop right now. And,
wow.
1904 or 1907 Packard that we're building the engine on. That's going together this month. And
So you guys will actually have vehicles running when all the satellites are taken down and all the Teslas aren't going to be operational. We'll come over to you if you need a lift.
yes, yeah, we have everything is like the more elemental the car, I'm learning that. I wasn't into brass cars when I started this. It's like what Tim was saying. You see something new. It's interesting. You get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, the business has evolved in that sense, but we just like the mechanical. We like to make it work the way it's supposed to.
And
that means a lot. That means a lot.
Yeah,
we've been really fortunate too that even with that 1980 cutoff, the volume has never been a problem. Like we've always had a lot of customers wanting to work with us. We have a lot of customers who have multiple cars, so it's just kind of a revolving door. We've been really fortunate in that sense that there's more than enough work even just in that pre-1980 time frame.
You wouldn't believe how many old cars are in the Reading area. I mean, our customer base is still at least 3/4 of our customers are within an hour radius.
Okay.
Really?
Even with our specialty. I mean, it's a lot of car culture around here. So,
and you have a lot of word of mouth. Like, I would assume a lot of this is word of mouth. People get a good job and they're like, hey, you got to check proper noise out. I'm assuming that's the way it is.
We've been really fortunate that we have not really had to advertise through traditional channels. I would say almost all of our stuff has come from word of mouth or repeat clients. We do try to support local events, local publications, things like that.
Yeah, you guys do a thing in West Reading too. What's?
Yeah, there's the
Nitro Bar.
Nitro Bar. The owner of the Nitro Bar in West Reading Motor Club is a customer, so he has a Triumph that we maintain, and similar vibe. He said, there's a lot of good car culture around here, but there's not a lot to do. So we partnered, and every first Thursday of the month, we
Tell them to come to Riverfront, hang out in a parking lot.
Yeah, I know exactly. So, and he's been to the event. He came once as well. So
Awesome.
We like the area. We moved back here to open the shop. I grew up in the area, went to Wilson. Melissa's from Allentown. And so we moved back here to open the business because we knew there was potential here. There was another shop that specialized just in British cars. And he was retiring and selling off his business. So that was our lead in. We started there and just grew it from that first shop over in Shillington. And it's been great.
What do you think the average project time would be? Lead in. Somebody has, say, they need their front some
engine work done, or
no? I mean, even thinking interior, like the front seats and maybe dash. Like, what are you looking at? A couple months, a year? Like, based on I know that's an open-ended question, but because I know some people, like myself included, if something breaks on my car, I want it fixed as soon as possible because I want that darn thing back. So is that I'm assuming it's a little more difficult when you have one-off stuff that you're not going down to Napa to pick up a part. You're fabricating it yourself.
Yeah, we're definitely we're not. We realize that as a car business, it's kind of we get a pass because these are not daily drivers, and so. There isn't that demand. It's got to be done now. So as a result, there is a little less pressure, and I'm glad because we do have a pretty big lead time because we're a small business and we're not trying to be a 50-man team right now. So right now it's
I would say
2 months.
Yeah, a couple months for like a bigger service. If you had a full restoration, probably next year, 18 months, something like that. And it also just as we start to get into these little bit more unique, like Ed was saying, the brass era, a little bit older cars, sourcing parts for that, and kind of working with new suppliers, that does affect the timeline. So I think like an MGB from the 60s. We can do with our eyes closed, more or less. But you start talking about, an early 1900s Cadillac, and that is something for us to dig into a little bit. And
I guess with the internet, though, you probably have a little better chance of more easy access to the history versus, say, 20 years ago
where it's just books.
Right. Yeah. And you were lucky enough to know somebody that had that literature.
Yeah, it's like you have these two things happening simultaneously as the internet age, but also the guys and girls that were doing it and living it are passing away, to be honest.
Sure.
So we're trying to, it almost feels like a race against time. You know, a lot of that hasn't been digitized.
Sure.
And so, you know, we still find that I have to just talk to the person. You have to find them.
Right.
Like, it might be like we're doing that Packard engine, and the car itself, there's 3 of them. So the engine, we had to physically drive it up to Syracuse for them to re-pour the bearings and then go pick it up and bring it back 9 months later.
Okay.
And it took that long because they have so much work because nobody's doing that anymore.
Right.
So
there's no Haynes manual for that.
There's not. No, there's not. So, you know, those jobs are, the result is really satisfying, as you can imagine.
Well, you're keeping history alive. You're keeping the past alive.
Yeah.
But the challenge is it just takes time.
And I think people, they might not make light of it, but they don't view it as, you mentioned the Mona Lisa earlier, where it is, I mean, that's pretty iconic because that's to ourselves and our grandparents. It was within our time. It wasn't 200 years ago. Like this stuff was ours. Like we can claim this as part of our history, which I think is even extra important.
Yeah.
Of keeping that.
I mean, a lot of times we will run into people or some of our customers, it's, you know, it's an original car for them.
Yeah.
It's a car they bought, or maybe just their father bought it and they rode around in it when they were a kid. And, you know, we love hearing those stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that makes it really, I think when people have a connection to the car, I think that ultimately makes our job easier too, because everybody's kind of on the same page. Like we want to get this done right and to the best of everybody's ability.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You guys mentioned, I'm sorry, MGB. Mm-hmm. Like I said in the beginning, I am not a car guy. So what is an MGB? And is this an American car or a European car? And Tim, you're looking at me cross-eyed, but I have no idea.
That's all right.
And maybe not. Maybe some other people don't know. It's good
so please,
to describe it.
Yeah,
I'll try to keep this brief because this is,
no.
This is the car that got me going with cars. So. MG was a car company that actually still exists. They're now they're owned by a Chinese firm, and they're still sold in the UK and Europe. But the MG sports car from 1962 to 1980, the model was just B. That was it. It was an MGB. Before that was the MGA. So, and the MGB was, until the Miata, it was the best-selling sports car ever made. But they stopped in 1980, so generationally, a lot of people have never heard of one. And in 1981, MG as an entity, they were not sold in America anymore. So it's a lost brand to a lot of Americans because it wasn't around. So it's a 2-seat sports car, 4-cylinder engine, manual trans, very, very simple, robust, not that fast, but as far as British cars go, they're the best all-rounder. They're not the fastest, maybe not the best handling, but they're pretty much our favorite British sports car, and that's because we've worked on them all, and that's the one that we tend to gravitate towards. Is it does everything. Not to say that a Triumph TR6 or an Austin Healey they're fantastic, but that's like if somebody said, what should I buy to get into this? That's the car because they're available. They're not terribly expensive. Parts are available, and we know how to fix them. So, we're happy to do that.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah. My mama would need the other checkbook.
Yeah.
you brought up the Miata and I'm just saying that the Miata and then I guess was a Z3 Beamer, there's not that many cars with that footprint of the MGs, and that's interesting you said that because I wasn't even thinking about that it's a shame because Those are extremely fun. Not good as a family mover, but
That's a second car. That's
right.
a second car. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're bringing. That's an interesting point that you brought up.
So what's the price range of one of these MGBs? You said they're fairly reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, you could buy a car that you could hop in and use right now, like past state inspection, like ready to use. The later cars are not quite as valuable. You could have one of those for like 12 to 15,000.
Wow.
And the early cars are the more collectible ones.
Mhm.
Fully restored, they'd be worth 40,000 in that range.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've looked.
Yeah. So, but that was I mentioned that was what got me started. And I think it is the same for a lot of people. My dad had an MGB, so growing up, he had that in the garage, and that kind of lit the fire. And so, it's a hobby that became a career. Melissa and I, we went to Temple University together. We both have our marketing degrees. I didn't plan to work on cars the rest of my life. It just that's where we ended up. And
Yeah, and I have a little bit of background in like consumer products, planning, logistics, a little bit of entrepreneurship. So I think it was about 6-7 years ago we decided, all right, let's give it a go, and just have not looked back since. It's been really great.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's steep learning curve. I think any small business owner would tell you that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But just talking with you guys over the last year, we can see that you love it. You love the culture. You can just see that it's not. I mean, it is work, but it's kind of not work. I'm just talking with you guys. Like it's like that
the lines are very blurred for us. Like it's really becoming a family business.
And that's outstanding, because that's not the way it is with the general public. That 9-to-5 grind jobs. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, we have Ed's dad working with us, and we just brought on his brother as well. And
cool.
So our daughters always are getting involved in all the weekend stuff, and so it's really great. Yeah, it's really great.
One question going back to the more to the let's say general consumer that, like me, I've got a 78 Corvette, as I mentioned earlier. It is not the anniversary edition, but potentially some of the issues I've shared with you, Ed, it has some frame issues, primarily rust. Is that something that you guys do? And this is, I don't know yet what I'm going to do with that car. It may just wind up in the bay in the garage, and I'll just let it go away and give it TLC until it does. But someone that may have something similar within the year range. So this is a 78, so it would qualify technically.
Just made the cutoff.
Just made the cut. And it's a Corvette too. I think they get a little bit of a pass and some things.
We fixed the frame of a Corvette for my uncle.
Okay.
He still has. He fully restored a 68 Corvette, and we did all the metal work on that chassis. So the skills are the same.
Yeah. Now mine, if it was a 68 versus a 78, it'd be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But and I think from a general listener standpoint, that may say, well, I just don't know what to do with it. Like me, I know what to do with it, and I know what it would be for me to do it. Mm-hmm. And technically, even though I know how to do it, I've done a few frame offs, but I know I don't have the equipment. I don't have all the tools. Definitely don't have the time.
That's a big one.
It is the time, right? And again, it's not a daily driver either, so I've got time that I can sit it down, but I've got a lot of other things that I want to do as well. But I think for the general listener that has something that maybe it's not that dramatic as a frame, they can come to you and get a service of being able to put that car back into a condition up to whatever is decided that they want to get it back to.
Yeah, we pride ourselves on being flexible. And if somebody comes to us, we're not going to insist on a full frame-off restoration for every car.
Sure.
Safety is key. I mean, if somebody brings a car into us and they want to put a supercharger on it and the brakes are in bad shape, we're gonna talk them out of that. and we'll try to. And I mean, as a business owner, I feel like I do more talking people out of work than into it. And again, thankfully, we have that luxury because we have enough to do. We're not scrounging, and so we just want to put out the best we can, and that usually means explaining to people why or why not they want to do it a certain way, and getting that groundwork done, and then we can move forward and do the best thing. And that might mean moving on from that car and doing a different car entirely, and give it sell it to somebody that's a bit of a do-it-yourselfer, or we do that a lot.
And that's good to hear, and I think it's good to know, because I know I've had conversations, not necessarily here, but with others in other parts of the country. They're like, you know what, I wish I knew someone that had the equipment. So like down south where I'm from, sound like I'm not from here. We did have access to shops, and different ones had different things, and we could utilize that equipment and things of that nature. But there's a lot of people that don't have that, and they don't know that the solution technically is within arm's length of where you're at. And it never hurts to say, look, I got a question to ask, and I got an answer to get, to find out, like you said, if I want to go on with this or potentially take, a portion of the restoration amount or whatever, and just get another whole car.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody wants an honest mechanic.
Right.
To be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to be sharked out of their money. So if you're giving people the right information and telling them, hey, this is the deal, I mean, that's very appreciative. I think that's really cool.
We're trying to. We want it to be fun. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's a drag to just be throwing money at a car and never driving it.
Okay, so if I came to you,
Oh boy.
Here it comes.
late 60s MG, and say, Ed and Melissa, I need my LS Corvette motor swapped in here. Is that a yes or no from you?
So,
You want me to answer that for you?
I just want to hear from these guys. I mean, you guys are purists. Or if I say, I'd like my MG slammed, and I need you to bevel my wheels in a little bit. I need some camber. Would you send me down the street, right?
Ed would say, shame on you.
believe it or not,
We've done that.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So it wasn't an LS, but we put a Ford 5-liter, a 302, into an MGB. So
Now, is that Coyote? Was that a Coyote or
no?
what?
That's the from a 5.0 Mustang.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did that project about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We
The car must be a beast.
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's
Did you have to
so-
cut
it's
anything?
so
Did you have to
loud.
cut anything out of there?
There's if you use a later shell, it's there's a company in Michigan, Mantel Motorsports, that they make a cross member kit that integrates the mounts for the Ford block. So, I mean, the engine is then sitting in the hole. You have to do everything else, but as far as a conversion goes, it's pretty straightforward. And the chassis, there was a V8 version of the MGB sold in the UK, so it's the later shells actually have clearances and things,
Okay.
and the radiators set forward. So as a conversion, it's a possibility. We've done it, and it made for a heck of a car. So we are
Because you are getting younger guys moving up in age, and they have
Yeah.
the money, and they're they
Yeah.
don't want the British ones; they want the Asian imports and stuff. Maybe at some point you might.
well, we built an Austin Healey with a Honda S2000 drivetrain.
Okay.
So, we didn't do the engineering on that one. We did more of we built up the chassis, the suspension, and then a hot rod shop, traditional metalcraft down
That's
in
cool.
Delaware. They did the bot because he also changed the entire body to aluminum, and he put the Honda engine in it, and so yeah, that thing is, talk about fast. It's crazy.
That's
So
cool.
So I gotta ask though, when you was putting that big V8 in that MGB,
mhm.
did you take the opportunity to tell one of your apprentices to go get a frame stretcher?
I did not.
You missed your opportunity.
I did not. No, it's
Wow.
so we're selective, but we still just build what we like because it was a cool project. And,
Yeah.
Yes, that's neat.
So, are you guys coming to the October 15th Cars and Coffee that we're having? Are you guys going to be able to make it?
We will be there.
Awesome.
Yep.
That is great.
We will be there. We're
Don't
looking
forget,
forward
it's
to
a trunk or treat.
That's right. This is Trunk or Treat.
Trunk
So
or treat.
we're asking people to bring candy. I don't know how many kids are going to show. I don't know how many cars are going to show
well,
up.
I
I think that's always the question with these
Yeah.
events. We just don't know.
Yeah.
But we would appreciate everybody bringing candy.
yeah, what we hope can happen is, and we'll try to get it out there, that you don't have to bring a car.
Right.
You can come and enjoy the
Well,
cars that are
people
there.
organically. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
how many families did we see with their kids? And,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've never seen more puppies on this parking lot
Yeah.
than at our Cars and Coffee. It's so cool. People just show up.
We did start, Melissa's doing an email blast now for the company every month. And so, because we were trying to promote it through the standard Facebook and Instagram
Mhm.
channels, which is how we usually promote, but we found that a huge portion of our customer base wasn't seeing that.
They're not. Yeah, right.
Mm.
So it's on the email blast. Hopefully that gets a few more people out
Yeah.
as well.
And it's more of a, of course, it starts out with wanting to get cars, and but what we've seen it, like Tony just mentioned, evolve into is more of just a gathering, and that is completely okay, because at the end of the day, the whole effort is to get people out and enjoy time together. You get to look at old vintage cars and some newer, what do you call them? Tuners?
Yeah.
Tuners.
Well, I mean, that's a nice. Yeah,
Well, you know
I've
what
been
I-
yelled at a lot on the street.
I call them
Called
rice-
other
I
things,
call
but
them rice
tuners. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's one of them that you're getting into some gray area there.
Right,
but okay.
right. Or the ones that burn that run on kerosene. I'm just saying, it's an array of taste of cars, what you like, and even some I talk to, because I walk around and talk to everybody because I'm a talker,
Mhm.
and when you can engage with different ones regarding their car or other cars, you find real quick that I never knew that you could do that to that car, or look, I just saw a car that I thought that I would never see. So all of a sudden you see the engagement that it generates. And when you ask them, well, where's your car? Let's go look at your, I didn't bring a car. I just come to look at cars.
Mhm.
To me, that's the engagement, because it got them out. It got them to, selfishly, it got them to our property, to where they can see some of the things that we're doing, hear some of the things that we're doing, because Tony and Joel do a good job, and whoever else is here do a good job at our information booth, not only for Riverfront, but for proper noise, so that we can continue to expand on and develop that width, if you will, of both organizations and what we stand for and what we do in the community. And I think it's just been very successful and very enjoyable each time we've had it.
No,
Yeah.
you guys have done a great job. It may have been our idea to do it, but obviously you guys have taken it and run with it, and it's been wonderful.
We've had, I think I had two guys at the last one. I think they were proper noise guys coming up and saying, "All right, what's the deal?" and I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, what's the connection here?" I'm like, "Oh, we all like cars." And he's like, "No, real." I'm like, "No, honestly," because he's like, "What are you trying
We
to
all
sell
drink
me?"
coffee, and we all
Yeah,
like
I'm
cars.
like, "We're not actually." I said, "Oh, you want us to sell you something? We could do that."
Right, right.
But yeah, and luckily, I think I'm jinxing this, Joel.
Oh,
The
no.
weather,
Yeah.
this blue sky. This is like California skies. These last, I don't know how it's been happening, but
Yeah.
we've been so
Yeah, we've been getting
lucky
lucky.
Yeah.
We've been
with
getting lucky.
this, because I mean we don't have a crystal ball, but I'm just hopefully but the neat thing is there's a love of this, because you're talking about not like trying to find the best way to get information out. We don't funnel a lot of money. I don't think we funnel any money into getting the word out. It's all
Right.
word of mouth and what we do on social media, and yet people come.
Yeah.
You know, so it's definitely more than just us. It's more than Proper Noises, more than Riverfront. It's just like, you know, it makes you feel good, you know?
It's been very fulfilling to see how it has grown. And I mean, like we said, our customers are always looking for something cool to do. And I mean, even better if you can bring your family and, you know, make it sort of like a nice community event. So yeah, we're thrilled with the way it has evolved, really.
And working with you guys, I think, because you're not doing the hard sell. And that's
exactly.
If it's about the relationship and meeting people, and that's how we try to run the business as well. It's never hard sell, just we go to events, we meet people, there's a comfort level, and they know that we just want to work together.
Yeah.
Yes.
And which is on that, out of the generosity of the people bringing their cars and just being here, our last meet, we raised $250 for the Teddy Foundation,
That's
a local nonprofit. And that's another thing that we were having people that like were showing interest, and just like we're, you know, everyone else is asking us for, you know, for money, and it's like, all right, like let's see if we can, you know, drum up some for nonprofits and organically, you know, little things like that, the generosity of people in general and stuff. And just, I don't see anyone there with a frown on their face.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people there. So it's just, I can't, it's hard to describe, even if you are a car person. You just have to be there. It's not just our cars and coffee, anything like that. It's just it's just something that brings people together in this world that's not always the nicest world.
You really get the sense, I think, that people are there because they just want to be there.
Yeah.
You know, like they went out of their way that morning to, you know, on a Sunday morning to come hang out with all of us, and that's really nice.
Yeah, it is really nice.
And too, that's a good point, Melissa. You know, if you show up somewhere on a 9-10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, just to hang out and look at some nice cars, have some nice conversation, you know that it was a legitimate desire.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not just they happened to be driving by, or they thought maybe there was beer. You know, it's on a Sunday morning.
No, that's over in West Reading at the Nitro Bar.
On Thursday evening.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
Awesome. Different car show.
That's right.
Exactly. But on that note, is there any final thoughts with you guys? Is there anything else you want to let our listeners know, Ed and Melissa?
Just thank you guys again, and we really appreciate the collaboration and the partnership, and we're really looking forward to the October 15th.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Tim, any final words?
Yeah, you know, this all you heard probably one of our more lengthy podcasts to this point, which is good. I think good conversation needs time to mature. But what you've heard in this is something that goes all the way back to what we've been talking about now in 6 episodes of our newly released podcast, is getting down to the core of what people look for and need. Like us at the credit union, we try to provide our members, potential members, with the financial services they need at a very reasonable price. We help them regardless if there's a loan or a retail piece involved. We help consumers better understand their finances, all going back to our mission, which is putting our members in a better financial position. You guys do the same thing. If you just do it from a different way, like we was talking about at the Cars and Coffee event. There's no signage out there that says, "Hey, come by Proper Noise. We got an oil special going on," or whatever, you know, or us. We don't have which I think we do actually put some literature on the information desk.
Actually, I think we give away stuff.
And we give away stuff
Like a $100 gas card and
yeah.
some other things that we've been giving away.
Wait, we give $100? No, we do, and we will continue to do so. But my point and again my ramblings is that these are 2 entities that has obviously a clear love of what they do and for whom they do it. And at the end of the day, the results are clear in being able to do that effectively.
Awesome.
I appreciate what you guys do. Definitely, my crew hears it all the time. Definitely appreciate what we do, and I think we keep on doing it.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
But thank you, Melissa and Ed, for coming. We thoroughly appreciate it. And everybody listening, remember, on October 15th is our last Cars and Coffee for the year. We're going to do 4 more next year. Those dates are coming up. And remember, if you want to make your life easier, keep following the current.